So this is Mati's farm. That's the guy right here. He's my boss. And this is the site we have, and Elaine wanted me to show what we're doing on the farm because I was talking, and I was doing pictures. So let's see what we're doing on the farm. So
Casual moment.
yeah, this is permaculture sleep, you know. Communal. We wake up at 8 in the morning for our meeting for our daily task. Elaine is not here, right? Okay, it's not really 8 in the morning, but. And we don't have a picture of that, but this is Mati cleaning the. This is me working the garden. You can see ashes on the floor there for multiple reasons. I'm not going to talk about it now. We don't have time for it. But we're working the garden. This is real biointensive gardening. You have to dig in 60 centimeters inside the earth. It's very, very hard. So this is us like, I don't know, half a year ago. And this is the beds a week later. Looks very nice. And this is what it looked before. Just so you can understand, like before and after, right? Like they do on TV. So this is before the garden. You see it's really dry and everything. And this is after, a year later.
How do you irrigate?
Irrigate. We'll get there. Beautiful question. But I practice what I preach. At least I try. These are our future cuttings for the future food forest, and also for Elaine. If she needs cuttings, she tells us, and we know what we do. We do guerrilla cuttings. It means we go around places with these cutters. We just walk around like different places and do cuttings. I don't know if that's legal in Israel, but if it was illegal, I think I would be even happier to do it. So that's it. It will probably be illegal at some point, right? Cutting. I mean, getting trees for free, that's not fair. You know how you do cuttings, right? You know?
Oh, when
You cut them,
and
you put in
we've
the
also
soil.
got over grafted trees.
Yeah. I mean, it's so unfair, people coming and cutting little pieces of trees and trees growing out of it. It's not fair.
Well, it's like taking a fire and then take a wood, take the fire with you. It doesn't hurt the fire. That's all.
Nature is abundant. The nature growth is always abundant. You put one, you get multiple. The economic system is exactly the opposite. You put multiple, you get one. It's amazing. This is the argan tree. Did you teach him about the argan tree?
We talked briefly about the argan tree in the context of domestication. And I also believe I told you about the argan tree because it's one of the ones that looks like it could have considerable impact as a crop because it's very water thirsty. This is a tree that originates in Morocco, and it is one of the favorite foods of ex-Moroccan Jewish people in Israel because of its very special texture and flavor, and also because it is so good for other things. It's considered good for hair. Actually, Moroccan oil is something that gets put in shampoo and all sorts of hairdressing now, but it's also very good for things like sunburn and burns. Anyway, it's a little thorny tree in the Sabotacea family. It only has a couple of relatives worldwide, and this is the only edible one in the family. The other relatives are the Madeira date, which is kind of edible, not very, and ironwood in Mexico. And it needs very little water. It grows quite well in areas with 120 millimeters of rain, which means we can plant it up in the high negative with no trouble. Here we more or less have to irrigate it, but it's very promising for the two reasons I gave you. It's water thrifty and it has multiple uses because the oil is one of the finer long chain fatty acid oils in the world. And we already have a market. We have all the ex-Moroccans and their families, And we have all the people that are interested in alternative cosmetics because it's very good for the skin. And we also have all the people that are interested in it for its medicinal properties. So if we can sell pure argan oil, I don't think we'll have trouble with the market. It's much easier to domesticate a plant if there's demand for it somewhere in different disciplines if it's multi-purpose than it is to try to create a market. Creating a market is all the headaches that he's been mentioning. Limiting the supply and advertising it and declaring that your apples are best, but all apples are good. So I would really rather domesticate plants that there's a need for already that people know how to use than try to create something totally new and say that mine are best. Now this sort of happened with the dragon fruit. Luckily the dragon fruit has been adopted in many places and there was enough competition so that this kind of advertising and this kind of development of the crop turned out to be, well, you might say a damp squid, a balloon with a hole in it, and the fruit got on the market anyway. But if we can turn the trees that are in use into something better from the point of view of their agriculture and health, and put them where they ought to be, I see it as a plus rather than a minus, even though some of this other stuff creeps in, advertising, limiting supply, whatever, because it gives us more of a crop library, gives us more possibilities of things to grow. When Shimon was talking about the seeds and companies getting control of them, the really big problem for the future, besides the economic extortion and all this other nonsense, is that they tend to limit the varieties. They tend to genetically impoverish what we're growing. And that looks to be a bigger problem for the future than any economic nonsense. Because economic systems, when they are too weighted in one direction or another, tend to collapse. When the Roman Empire collapsed as a financial power, that didn't mean that people stopped growing grapes. And if there is going to be economic disruption in the Western and the Eastern world, that doesn't mean people are going to stop growing food. But if we still have the ability to use the different strains of seeds of different kinds of plants, we're okay. If they've eliminated them because they want you all to grow their brand, we're really in trouble.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I want to take on that. The collapse is, back to economics, I think it's crucial to understand this. Collapses happen because I made my 25 million and it didn't finish there. Remember I opened the door and you owe me 25 million? That's when a collapse starts. I did this on purpose because if I would actually leave this door closed, I would starve to death too. But if I open the door and everyone's coming in and out and I made the 25 million, I become rich. Everything's fine. But you have to pay this money, so you have to steal money from them. It's a whole cycle. But it's important to understand this. So she was talking about the argan tree. We're growing this tree now. We have little baby seedlings all over the greenhouse. Hunting for carrots and honey for lunch. I don't know who that crazy guy is. This is another friend of mine hunting for honey.
We've been wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, no, he has like 5 of these.
Maybe somebody's paying me money to wear this. I believe in this, by the way. It says, how do you say this in English?
Like neighbor, I guess.
Like yourself.
Yeah, like yourself. Yeah.
Food crop in the winter. Jerusalem artichoke, Swiss chard, everything's in here. We want. So we pick it every day and we start making our lunch at around 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. We don't believe in watches. This food, besides the tomatoes, is all from the farm. This is nettle soup, which is very, very good. We make it. It's very healthy. I see you make it too?
Sometimes. More in spring, when it's like yam leaf.
Yeah, it's really good.
Before they get their pickles.
Yeah.
It's what?
Nettle. It's fun. So we make this stuff. Actually, a volunteer made this, I'm not going to lie. French volunteers. We have volunteers from all over the world, woofing volunteers. Well, you probably have them too, right? No. No?
No.
Okay, why not?
We found that the short time period doesn't work for our farm. Because we're small, we need like a larger time period to train people.
Wow. Okay, so we'll probably get there at some point. This is pesto sauce made out of garlic, and I don't remember what the volunteer put inside, but it's all from our garden. The spaghetti doesn't grow in our spaghetti trees; they're not blooming yet, and the salad is also all from our garden. So we eat what we grow, and that's why we're so healthy and happy. Once at a time. Cleaning the net house. These are where all the baby arganias are. It's not fun work, but we have to do it. Planting future garden. The seeds that I was talking about, we save them, we plant them all the time, and we document them down. We have first generation, second generation, third generation. So it's beautiful. Planting trees and herbs. We plant trees and herbs together, like they teach in permaculture. If you open that book, you'll see. It's important. Here you can see an apple tree we planted, and there's Melissa, Louisa, and Mint next to it. When it will grow up, it will have a beautiful mulch around it. It will also help bring pollinators to it, which means it will have more fruit. That's what's important to have herbs. Let's say aphids too. These are the trees in the winter. Playing with volunteers. That's a picture we have. We don't take enough pictures. Yeah. He has. Monty's been there for 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
I've been there for 1 year.
My brother took over the project originally, and from there he tried a few methods to get the place running proper. There's a lot of logistical problems with it originally. The soil was very poor. Still, he did a lot of really important things. This year he took a step back. He doesn't have much power about it anymore, and his family takes priority. So I decided I'm gonna give it a try too, and so far it's been working out pretty good. We're having really good results.
Actually, the entire project started 10 years ago with a very, very barren area. But after you worked in agriculture for a certain amount of time, you get a feel for land. And I can feel that it really wanted to be a fruitful place, if that makes any sense. It's turned out to be a very fruitful place. There's some places that are harder to work in than others. This area happens to be pretty difficult agriculturally. That one, while the area was very neglected, I felt a good deal, I guess, of good forest or something like that. This is not the vocabulary of reason. I'm not supposed to talk to people like this in an academic class, but it felt like it wanted to be a beautiful orchard. Currently, there's some discussion about what to do with the second section of land. In the shop, everybody has a certain amount of land around their house, and then in the fields they have something. And last time I was up at the farm about 2 weeks ago, my older son mentioned the fact that there's a subject of swapping land with one of the other people who is farming in the fields. It's about the same amount of area. I looked over the area and I got that same feeling. And this really, really wants to be a good orchard. It's like bouncing water, you know. You feel it, you feel it. So I actually told him I really like the piece of land that they are offering you better than the one you're using, and if you can manage to do this legally, and so that the other fellow doesn't end up with 2 fields and you end up with nothing, then I would prefer the second field. The first field is not terrible, but it has some drawbacks as far as, and it doesn't feel like it wants to be an orchard as much. I again, this is not the vocabulary I'm using. So currently, we're negotiating for a larger field in a more central area compared to the one that's attached to the farm. So if we ever want to scale up any of the crops, it looks like we may have a possibility to do this. And who knows, maybe we'll end up one of those mid-sized organic, at least for Israel, organic growers that's trying to do the right thing. I am very anti-chemical, especially down here, because of the salinity. It does not make sense to give chemical fertilizer in the form of salts that are really similar. There, I would look at a more sort of conserving idea. The area is more or less clean. Why get started with chemical salts? Especially because the area is abundant in compost material and carbons and everything else one would need to regenerate the soil. So, as I said, currently there's clover on this section, which is probably one of the reasons it feels so good. Clover is very regenerative, very good for nitrogen. The slope is beautiful, and I can just see beautiful rows of trees making food for people to eat on this particular patch of land. It's a feeling.
I get that feeling everywhere, especially in the desert.
Even here?